And we're back. Mike CERNOVICH, DangerandPlate.com, Guerrilla Mindset, with a positive message for July 4th holiday. A call for peace. Whoa, just dropped the battery pack. Now, Mike CERNOVICH does not operate from a position of weakness ever. So anybody who thinks that I'm trying to negotiate peace because I've lost, I mean, actually the opposite is true. So this is, a message to the more liberal people out there. So let's just be real. Let's just be real for a minute, real talk. I won. Right? I won. I got the 300,000 Twitter followers. I have the #1 journalist account on Twitter. My book was a big success. My film was the first big success. I'm going to have another big film. I'm recognized worldwide. Like, I've won, okay? So, I'm not calling for peace out of political weakness. I'm just saying, doesn't it get tiresome? I'll give you an example. It just happened a minute ago. I think I'm going to start telling people I love them. And I'll tell you why. There's so much power in love. By the way, I'm about to have a refreshing raspberry lime water. Look at that. 15 calories. No, 10 calories per can. 2 carbohydrates. Aluminum. So there's a guy, Oliver Willis. He writes about me. He's obsessed with me for Media Matters. Works for George Soros every day, right? And he wrote a tweet. He said he loves America. And I said, you know what? On this July 4th, I will put aside our differences and just embrace you as an American. And he cussed at me and called me a rape apologist. So I realized now that the real power is I'm going to take the high road. I'm going to start loving my haters and loving my enemies. Because I've already showed people that I can crush their souls, demoralize them, send them into a bout of depression. I've already proven all that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the high road, and all the people who are vile towards me, I'm just going to say that I love you, and I hope you do well, and I hope you're able to get what you want out of life. That's going to be the new Mike CERNOVICH as of today. Is I'm just going to say, I love you as a fellow American. Thank you for exercising your free speech. This stuff, by the way, is great. This stuff is, I get at Costco. Spendthrift. Spendthrift. Yeah, I get this in Costco. So, because things have gotten way too violent. When I can't hold a Guerrilla Mindset seminar without people losing their minds, that's not even a political. By the way, how cool do I look right now? I staged this scene actually, because I read Virginia Pastral's book Glamour. So I've been thinking more about how I stage image and stuff. So I got my hair kind of tousled just so. I got the flower background, the glasses, and the summer kind of shirt. I really feel like I nailed it here. This is totally staged, by the way. This isn't like how I live ordinarily. I was in a tank top earlier with blue blocker sunglasses. The real Mike CERNOVICH had blue blocker sunglasses on and a tank top and was doing cardio with Julius. But I thought I'm going to stage kind of a glamorous scene, right? And it worked. And that just it shows the power of the application of books that you read. I'm gonna talk about some books in a minute. So where's Syra right here? Here, I'll show you where's Syra at. Syra, people want to know what you're doing. Can you see her? I can't. Can you guys see her from there? That angle, or? I think. Yeah, there. That's Syra. Hey, Syra. People want to know what you're up to. What are you up to? So she's hanging out. Yeah, so that's Syra's just hanging out. We're having a the family cookout. A little bit. We'll have a cookout, and yeah, she's just chilling. So, but the big mistake people make is the practical application of what you read. You have to apply what you read. So I had a kid, young kid. A lot of these people, if I ever mention, you, and if you're ever watching and I mention something that we did, I'm not criticizing you. I'm just offering you insight. So I met this kid, and he's like, comes up to me at this Trump, the happy hour we had at the Trump Hotel. And he goes, what should I do to be more persuasive and whatever? And I gave him 3 books to read. I said, read these 3 books. And he goes, what do I do after I read that? And I said, well, have you read the 3 books? Well, no. Well, then there's nothing else to talk about, right? I'm not going to sit around and give you 100 different things you should do. You have to read 1 book, apply that to your life, and then integrate your knowledge every day of your life. And then he came up to me Sunday. He's like, so man, I was just really thinking, what more should I do to be more persuasive? And I go, well, did you buy those books yet? Well, but after that. So you didn't even buy the books I told you to read, so you certainly haven't read them, but you're already asking me, 20 different things when you're not even reading the 1 book. So how does that make any sense, right? I'm 39. I still read books and I still apply them to my life, and you know what I still do? I still do book reviews. You want to know what my pet peeve is? Well, I got a lot of pet peeves. But one of my pet peeves are people who think they're too good to do a book report. I'm 39, I've written books, I've done it all. But you know what? If I read a great book, I do a book review. I'm not above that. People think they're above that. Well, that's scut work. People are afraid to admit they've learned from other people. That's a big mistake people have, is you become older as a man and you don't want to admit that other people you find inspiring, or you find influential, or you find interesting. You have to just be too cool for it, right? Too cool. Everybody has too cool for school syndrome. Well, I'm too cool to do a book review, and I'm too cool to do that. Well, fine, but I'm not, and I'm probably way more successful than people who won't, right? That's what I think is funny, is that I'm not too good to do it. I'm not too good to do a book review. I'm not too good to give a shout out. I'm not too good to bump people up and try to boost them up. But then all these people think they're too good to do that for everybody else. Right? I see that problem over and over again. Too cool for school syndrome. They want to act like they just got there, and that nobody helped them out. They didn't learn from anything. They just, wherever they are, they got. But I'll tell you, the secret, those people are posers anyway. The people who never give shouts out to other people, they're actually losers, and they're what you call a 30K millionaire. 30K millionaire is a guy, he leases a 3 Series BMW, he's leveraged, puts a bunch of money on credit cards, and then to present a false image. That's all these people. People who actually make it always give shouts out. So what's my summer reading list? I'll tell you. And I'll give you my honest review. So I have 4. And by the way, if you've read the books I've told you to read, you'll know that I'm actually going to review these in a certain order. I'm going to teach you the application of primacy and recency. Right? Primacy and recency is what I'm going to teach you. Because if you read the books, you know what I'm going to do. You know that people are going to remember the first and the last more than the middle. Most people don't even know that, though. But then they want me to give them 50 book reviews and waste hours of my time. It's a time suck. If you won't read the books and do the work on your own, don't come talk to me, because you're wasting my time. I can do Periscope and talk to 10,000 people in half an hour. That's the level of entitlement people have, is that they ask me for advice that they'll never implement, they'll never take action, and they wasted an hour of my time. I could have talked to 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 people. But instead I talked to one first-class loser who won't actually take charge of his or her life. And I got no time for that. So I'll tell you what I'm reading. One is, I got the new edition of Gorilla Mindset in. And this is a beautiful book. This is a sharp-looking book. You can see the blue, very, very sharp book. This is the latest print. The cover is like a really dark jet black. Amazon did a great job, so this is the latest print of Gorilla Mindset. And I'm thrilled with how these turned out. These turned out really good. These turned out gorgeous. Look, the font's nice. This is a real pleasure to read, for sure. So that's one. The next one is TED Talks, the official TED Guide to Public Speaking. I'm not impressed with the book, but that could be my own, because I know too much already, right? So this book, I'm not finding it particularly helpful to me at all. So it's all right. It's okay. It's not a bad book, but it's the TED Talks, the official guide to TED Public Speaking. I would not consider this a wow book. I'm not disappointed that I read it. It's like the way I look at it, it's $10 if I read it. It's not a bad way to, get my mind thinking about other thoughts. But this definitely doesn't blow me away. This is a so-so book. But that could also be because I've done a bunch of public speaking before. I've read a lot of books on public speaking. I've taken public speaking courses. So it could just be that this is a little too kind of mid-tier for me and I'm more into the real deeper stuff. That could be it. But I don't know. The next one I'm reading is The Devil's Pleasure Palace by Michael Walsh. So The Devil's Pleasure Palace is a deconstruction of what has happened with the left. So I'll tell you some of the chapters. They talk about cultural Marxism, and he does it in a very kind of artsy way. And it's a critique of critical theory. So for those of you who don't know what critical theory is, it's cultural Marxism. Hey, do you want to come sit up here now, or are you still playing? You want to come? So economic Marxism was based on the working class versus bourgeois, labor versus capital. Well, cultural Marxism was about structural privilege and making everything about race and gender. So he does this organizational structure that doesn't make it obvious what he's doing. I'll give you an example. Chapter 11, of Eros and Thanatos. Chapter 1, Whose Paradise? Chapter 2, Thesis. Chapter 3, Antithesis. Chapter 4, The Sleep of Pure Reason Produces Monsters. So he does it in a very, it's a beautiful book, don't get me wrong. But this is the kind of thing where you need somebody to pull you back a little bit. You're a little bit too pleased with yourself. And you need somebody to be like, hey, actually this will sell a lot better and reach a lot more people if you do it a little bit differently. But his response would be, well, I only want to reach the most artsy-fartsy people. But that has always been to me a rationalization for not being a big success. So whenever people don't have something be a smash hit, they go, my director suffered from this. Well, I'm just too much of a genius and only geniuses can recognize me. Well, it's a big world. And it's a big internet. All right? So you can't rely on the whole only geniuses can recognize me thing. Because it's the internet. Everybody on the internet can find your stuff. Why haven't they found it? Why aren't they talking about it? That said, it's a good book. I like it. So I'm not throwing shade on Michael Walsh. No shade at all. I'm just giving some critique of it that could make it reach more people. Because as it is, this book is never going to really tip over. And that's a shame, because the ideas in here are important. The idea, the Christian tradition of America, and how you should care about Christianity even if you're not a Christian. The deconstruction of Marxist ideology, critical race theory, critical gender theory. So I'll read you the back. In the aftermath of World War II, America stood alone as the world's premier military power. Yet its martial confidence contrasted vividly with its sense of cultural inferiority. See, now that is a very deep statement. Michael Walsh is a deep thinker, and this is a deep book. So what you'll notice about America, and even the New Yorker said this, there was an article in the New Yorker after Macron was elected in France, and the New Yorker, the guy goes, France earned its right to be culturally superior to America. I thought that was interesting. It's multi-layered, and here's why. Macron actually said France doesn't have culture. So that's interesting. Since when did the French not have culture? But according to their president or prime minister, whatever they call him, I don't care, he said they don't have a culture. But the New Yorker guy is saying the French culture is superior, so Americans have always been plagued with cultural inferiority, coastal communities especially. Coastal communities, you know, California, New York, very insecure. They want to be like the Parisians. That's been America, cultural insecurity. So all of these intellectuals from Europe came over and brought in their Marxist ideology and their critical race theory, and has been destroying America, rotting it out from the core. That's interesting, right? So that's a good look at The Devil's Pleasure Palace. That's on the reading list. The next one is Blindness, which I've already talked about. Fantastic novel so far. I'm about a fourth of the way into it. So this is a great look at, it's a great book. It's a fictional book about an epidemic that strikes people and turns them blind. People are quarantined. What happens? What kind of darkness lurks in the heart of man? I highly recommend